These are corrupt people. There was no problem. There was no anything. This was like a perfect transaction. Charged me $450 million fine. These are sick people, and we have to go on, and we have to win, and we have to hope the appeals courts are honest, because if they're not honest, this country, I'll tell you, where are we going? This has been such a blight on New York. The appellate division actually gave me the case. I won the case because I won it in the appellate division, not the 175. I won that too. They reduced it from 450 to 175. But I won the case because it's called statute of limitations. The appellate division ruled in my favor. That means most of the case is gone. The judge refused to honor it. Now, nobody ever heard of that before. So the appellate division said, you won the case, that's it. And the judge said, I don't accept it. He's called a rogue judge. He's a rogue judge. He's a fake judge. I'm not the threat to democracy. Joe Biden and the fascists that control him, and they do control him, are the real threat to democracy.
Where do we even begin? Right at the top, Trump defends himself in his New York fraud case. Let's be clear. What he calls a perfect transaction was in actuality him overstating the value of his assets when he wanted favorable loan terms from the bank, while understating the value of those same assets when it came time to pay taxes. And while I'm not an accountant or a lender, I'm pretty sure that's not a, quote, perfect transaction, but instead just plain old fraud, which is why he was hit with that $464 million verdict. You don't have to pay $500 million because of a perfect transaction. You do if you're a run-of-the-mill con man who got caught perpetuating a massive fraud against both the banks and the people of New York. In fact, Trump calling something perfect is about as big a tell as you could possibly find that whatever he did was actually criminal. Remember his perfect phone call where he extorted Ukrainian President Zelensky while he was president by withholding $391 million in military assistance for dirt on Joe Biden? He got impeached for that, and no, it was not perfect. Or his perfect phone call to Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, where he demanded that Raffensperger find 11,780 votes, or exactly one more vote than he lost by. He's been indicted in Fulton County, Georgia for that, and no, again, it was not perfect. So the fact that Trump is up here calling his fraud a perfect transaction is actually all the proof you need that, in fact, what he did was absolutely deserving of his loss in court. Now, let's do some fact checking. He says that the appellate division, quote, gave him the case and that he, quote, won the case. So, no, not even close. What happened in reality is that he won some modest forms of relief on appeal with regard to his business certificate and Ivanka being dismissed as a co-defendant from the case. But that's all. He absolutely did not have this decision overturned. What he's trying to do is obfuscate the facts and claim that he, quote, won at the appellate division, when in reality, he notched minor technical forms of relief that will have no material impact on his massive verdict. But again, he thinks his supporters are stupid, and so that's how he treats them. He also claims that they reduced his judgment from $450 million to $175 million. Again, that is also a lie. They reduced his bond amount from $464 million to $175 million. The judgment against him was absolutely not reduced. It remains at $464 million and will remain at $464 million unless the appeals court, which has not yet heard this case, rules that it should be lower. But in order to prevent New York Attorney General Letitia James from beginning to seize his properties to satisfy that $464 million amount, the court ruled that a bond worth $175 million would suffice for now to prevent that asset seizure. There is a big difference between that and what he's saying, but again, he thinks his supporters are morons, and so that's how he treats them. And then, of course, he goes on the usual tirade about how the judge is rogue and fake, which is what Trump says about any judge who isn't completely and totally in the tank for him. Notice how the only judge that Trump hasn't criticized is Judge Aileen Cannon, who is so egregiously compromised that even the conservative 11th Circuit Court of Appeals twice reprimanded her for interfering on Trump's behalf before going on to reverse her rulings. And yet, that's totally fine, according to Trump. But judges who actually abide by their oaths of office and follow the rule of law, well, surely those judges can't be trusted. After all, only judges who rule in Trump's favor are real judges. Convenient, huh? But here's the deal, which I alluded to before. Trump knows that what he's saying is all bullshit, but he continues to say it because he believes that his supporters are stupid. I mean, think about it. This guy's got enough experience with the legal system to know that he didn't win the case on appeal. The full case didn't even go to appeal yet. It'll probably take another year. And even if he doesn't know that, he's got lawyers around him who probably have explained as much to him, which means that the only possible explanation here is that he has so much contempt for the people who trust him that he's perfectly content to go out there and lie to their faces because he knows that they're easy to dupe. That's how Trump rewards the loyalty of his supporters, by exploiting them every time he opens his mouth. Trump may claim to hate the Democrats, but in reality, there is no one he has more contempt for than his own fans. And if you need an example, well, you don't have to look far.
What can we do? Stand up, speak out, and pray that God will bless America again. And I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible now and help spread our Christian values with others. There you have it. Let's make America pray again. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
Or how about Trump Media, the parent company of Truth Social, which Trump has spent days pumping up the stock for and encouraging his supporters to buy, even though it is an outright scam. To give some explanation, Truth Social reported a net loss of $58 million in 2023 with revenues of just $4.1 million. It's trading at 1,600 times revenue. For those not well versed in the market, that is insane. Trump Media is trading at over 40 times higher than Nvidia, which is currently the hottest stock in the world. This is all smoke and mirrors, and its dismal performance in the market over the last week is a testament to that. In fact, here's CNBC, certainly no liberal station, decrying the scam that is Trump Media on air.
Not a political question about former President Trump, but actually a business question about Truth Social. You've seen this stock on the move in this, I'll call it remarkable, maybe even crazy way.
Just say two words, GameStop.
GameStop. That's what you think is going on here.
It's ridiculous.
The
company has no revenue.
But do you think it could ever be a bigger business? Do you think if he wins the presidency, it becomes...
Why?
I'm asking...
Why would it be bigger? Look, he's only interesting now because he's out there entertaining the folks. I hope if he does get elected, he just plays golf for 4 years. But
so do you think that all of the investors in this are getting scammed? Do you think they think this is a transference of wealth from one side to the other, and that's the goal? What do you think is happening?
I think they're dopes. I mean, who would buy a company that literally has, I think, what does it have? $30 of revenue? How could you put a value on it? They're buying it for other reasons, just like they bought theaters when there was no theater business, or they bought GameStop or whatever. It's stupid. It's stupid stuff.
It was 1,000 times revenue, I think.
I
think it was wasn't it $4 million? It was
$4 million in revenue. That's $4 million in revenue. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's not ridiculous.
$4 million.
Why are you even talking about this? It's a scam, just like everything he's ever been involved in is some sort of con.
Let me pivot.
Amazing survival of a con man is just beyond comprehension.
And of course, that's just the latest example. This dude's entire life is a long line of grifts and failed cash grabs. Remember when he was hawking $400 sneakers? What about those useless, valueless NFTs? There's Trump Wine, Trump the Game, Trump Casinos, Trump Vodka, Trump Magazine, Trump Mortgage, Trump Airlines, Trump University, all out of business or declared fraudulent in court. All of which is a pretty apt microcosm for how Trump and his brand operate. He frames anything he slaps his name on as the hottest thing on the face of the earth and convinces the rubes who love him to pay for it, and when you take even a cursory glance under the hood, it becomes abundantly clear that it is trash. And of course, the people who get screwed over are the people dumb enough to believe in a guy who was just found liable for fraud in a New York courtroom to the tune of $500 million. So while I certainly don't mean to victim shame here, I'm sorry, but if you can watch Trump get hit with a fraud verdict literally last month and still give this guy your money, then you kind of deserve what's coming to you. So this should go without saying, but when it comes to money, assume Donald Trump is lying. He has spent his entire life stepping over people in his pursuit of it, but eventually he always gets found out for the fraud that he is. What happened in this New York courtroom was no different. He is a proven con man, and the more people know about that, the better off all of us will be. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.